1, 2.
Okay, if you could start with that vocal, so the lead vocal.
اتميلي على كيفي أنا يا صبية يا حنينة اتميلي على كيفي أنا وميلي ميني ميني يا صبية دن.
And if you could do
That's my whole list, that's all I have to say. Say something else.
Okay, and could you go back to the stage? Go get the front of the stage.
Yela mara la mara, bukra inshallah.
And there's one more vocal which is your song.
That's mine, tested it, did you? Yeah. That's all, yeah.
You'll go get the front of the stage there.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Should we go through
Yeah, because
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're about to start our event. My name is Kamel Hawash. I'm the Vice Chair of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign and also the Chair of the Britain-Palestine Twinning Network. And it's my pleasure today to be MC for the afternoon's events. First of all, practical things. Toilets over there. And if you need any information, there are stewards and there are lots of stalls, so please get as much information as you can. You know, Israel since its creation has been trying to erase Palestine as a name, to erase the name Palestinian culture from everyone's memory, so that one day that Palestine will die. That was one of the things that Ben Gurion thought would happen. The older generation would die and the next one will forget. Clearly this event is about showing that Palestine is not dead. Actually, Palestine lives, and it lives in Manchester this afternoon. So thank you very much indeed for coming out to support us. The program is as follows. We'll have a number of speeches, then there will be some music and some dancing, and then we will go on a parade, which we'll tell you more about in a few minutes. But it's really my pleasure to invite Linda Clare from Manchester PSC, the group who's worked so hard to put this event together, to talk to you. Linda.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to start by saying thank you for coming, and hopefully our numbers will be swelled over the afternoon. It's wonderful to see you all here. Today we're sending messages of solidarity and support to Palestine. We are celebrating Palestinian culture. We are celebrating their history, which still exists today, despite the last 60 years of continued Israeli brutality, theft of land and of resources, and lies to the rest of the world. The Israelis lie in order to justify their project of having the whole of the land for themselves. And if that means ethnic cleansing of a nation, then that's what they'll do. Why is it that the media and celebrities are quick to campaign on Darfur, Tibet and other places around the world that are perceived to have experienced injustices, but are silent on the question of Palestine, where 60 years ago 530 Palestinian villages were razed to the ground and 750,000 people were ethnically cleansed from their land, a practice that continues today. Today, attacks on Gaza are excused as responses to rockets targeting Sderot. Well, Sderot was built where the Palestinian village of Najd stood, and where the inhabitants were expelled in 1948, an act of terrorism that occurred before the State of Israel was even declared, and before any Arab armies ever attempted to enter Israel. UN Resolution 194 and Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says the villagers of Najd have the right to return to their homes. These historical facts are repeated all over what is now the State of Israel. Why the silence? It is so that Zionism is not offended. Well, I'm offended, and I hope you are too. The question is not, does Israel have a right to exist? But do the Palestinians have a right to exist? If you believe they do, and then I hope your feeling will be translated into action, join Palestine Solidarity Campaign. There are stalls here with the information. Work with Palestinians to end their suffering and to achieve peace with justice for them and for the possibility of peace in the region and so in the world. I hope you will enjoy all of our activities today that say Palestine does live, it continues to live, it has a history, it has an experience, it has art, it has culture, it is a nation, and we wish to have its freedom given to them. They're struggling, their resistance, we want to be part of it. So please come and join us and help us make it happen with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Linda. You hear wedding bells. That's one of the reasons why we weren't able to start with the music. But just think about this. In Palestine, if this was a Palestinian wedding, it might be seen as part of the demographic threat. That two people are getting married and one day might have babies. And that's the way, unfortunately, that Israel views the Palestinians, as a demographic threat. What I'd like to do now is to move on to another very important aspect of Palestinian life, the right to education. A right that Israel says is sacrosanct for its own people, but it's one that it denies to Palestinian people, both in Palestine, and tries to stop them from receiving their education abroad. Last year, the case of our next speaker became a symbol of the Palestinian resistance, educational resistance, that a student who was here in the UK attending university in Bradford was denied the right to return to his education back in the UK. How could that possibly be a security threat? But this young man was denied the right to return until long into his second year of his course at Bradford, and so he has had to miss a year. I'm really delighted, though, that this brave young man has come to join us today to talk to us about his experience. Khaled Al-Mudallal.
Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody who came today to participate in this very important event, to pass a very important message to the occupiers over there, to tell them that we are standing with the Palestinian people and we are standing with the Gazan people who have been living in catastrophe, living under the siege for more than a year now. I lived in Palestine. I was born there, and then I came to this country to finish my studies. Last year in June, I visited my family to bring my wife back to this country. But unfortunately, Israel decided to close all borders on the Palestinians. I was unable to leave, as well as hundreds of other Palestinians and students who were trapped also. I fought for my right of education and my right of movement. But this would not be possible without the help and support of all of you. I'm very delighted to be here today to speak to you face to face, to tell you exactly what happened in Gaza and what I have witnessed over there. In June last year, Israel decided to close the borders, decided to close the Rafah crossing border, which is the only border for the Palestinians in Gaza Strip. Nobody was allowed to leave the Strip or enter the Strip. I had this question in my mind, why is that? Why Israel decided to close the borders and leave 1.5 million people living in a big siege? But this question and the answer, I couldn't hear it from the Israeli authorities. I did contact the Israeli authorities to ask them why is that. But because I didn't have any answer from them, I had to move on. I have to move to the freedom fighters who are living around the world, the people who are in this country, my friends, universities, student unions, and Palestinian organizations who did cooperate in my campaign fully. Then they started a very unique campaign which was called Let Khaled Study on the website, and an early day motion through the British Parliament which was very successful campaign. Then due to all this campaign and the media coverage, Israel was forced by force to let me out from Gaza. Is not because they felt guilty, it's because of the pressure they had from you lot, from everybody, from the peace lovers. This pressure would not be possible without the hard work, the day in and day out, from you, from everybody, to make sure that I'm back. I was back due to all your support and all your efforts. I would like to thank you. But it's not the end of it. I left Palestine, but I left 1.6 million people living in catastrophe, living in hardship, living under the siege, where no electricity and no fuel for their daily life. I witnessed the killing of more than 200 patients who have been killed for one reason, because for the lack of treatment, and they were unable to leave Gaza Strip for treatment as well. Those 200 patients, most of them were cancer patients and a third of them were children. Israel insisted in committing crimes in Gaza Strip by not letting those people out from Gaza. But we have to do something for those people. If we don't do anything, this number will be even greater. The 200 would reach even thousands if we don't do anything. We have to stop Israel from what they're doing in Palestine. For one simple reason, because we believe in the right of living for those people, as I believed in my right of living for my own personal case and my right of education. I believed in my right of education, I fought for it, and at the end I won the case. I won a very unique case through the Israeli Supreme Court, which I placed against the Israeli government. Yes, I did use the what's so claimed democracy in Israel against the Israeli government, and I did win it. Why is that? It's because of the pressure and the campaigns and the media coverage and the support and the solidarity from all of you, from this country, from all over the world. And then Israel was forced to let me out from Gaza. But at this point of time, I have some important facts to pass on to you from Gaza Strip to show the hardship and the disastrous of the siege that the Gazans are living under the siege till this moment. Till this moment, more than 200 patients have died because of the lack of medicine and the lack of treatment. And they were unable to leave Gaza. There are thousands of people
who are still trapped till this moment. Hundreds of them are students. There's also more than 85% of the population unemployed. More than 90% of the factories have completely stopped from working. Electricity, a rapid shortage in electricity, a rapid shortage in fuel. People are using cooking oil to run their cars, which causes cancer as well. All this is because for one simple reason, is because there's not enough pressure on Israel to stop Israel from what they're doing against the Palestinian people. Last week I was giving a talk in a conference in Coventry, in the NUS conference, and we launched a very important campaign. We need everybody to participate in this campaign, which was called Let the Palestinians Study. This campaign is to work hard and make sure that the Palestinian students who are living in Gaza Strip, those who want to travel and those who want to live and study in Palestine, that they take their rights fully and make sure that the borders are open not only for students but for every Palestinian living in Gaza Strip. Please, we need everybody to participate in this campaign, and it will be on my website letkhalidstudy.co.uk, and through petition, through hard work and campaign, we can reach a very important stage to have a real effect on the Israeli government, to stop the foolish siege and the foolish treatment of the Palestinian people, and to have a real international effect through the British government, through the British Parliament, to affect on Israel and stop all the dealings and all the work with Israel in terms of two-state dealings. We have to stop all this. We have to work. Please contact your MPs to have an early day motion and sign on the early day motions on Gaza Strip. It's not the end of it. I'm back, but we have to work hard for those who have left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Khalid, for that message. As Khalid said, the situation continues. 5 Albright scholars from Gaza who were due to receive scholarships in the US, the US were about to cancel them because Israel wasn't allowing the people who won the scholarships to go and take them up. What a ridiculous situation that is. One important thing about Palestinians is that the Palestinians have a problem with their occupier. They have a problem with the occupier. If the Palestine was occupied by the Japanese, our problem would be with the Japanese. But our occupier is not Japan. However, on the Israeli side, there are some wonderful Jews, wonderful people who work really hard to ensure that the message of the Palestinians is heard. They stand up for the rights of the Palestinians. They want to see an end to the occupation. One of these organizations is represented here today. It's the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions, and we have the director of that organization, Linda Ramsden, who will now address you. Linda.
We're just going to stop for a second. We're going to say Mabruk. Congratulations to the bride and groom. Okay. Imagine this scenario. This morning, you are sitting comfortably over your breakfast, and suddenly there's a knock at the door. You open it to find a complete stranger, an official from another country. He announces that the house is no longer your house. You've got 15 minutes to leave, to gather your family, to pack up your belongings and get out of the house. You leave and you see the house demolished before your very eyes. affect you? How would it affect your wife and your children for the rest of your lives? This is exactly what has happened to more than 100,000 Palestinians as their houses were demolished, despite applying for permission to build a house, paying $5,000 every time you apply to build a house on your own land, and you're given some excuse, inconsistent, unreasonable, and your house, you build your house, you have nowhere else to live, and then it's demolished. Do you know, 10 years ago, this situation wouldn't have affected me at all. I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. After all, at that time, I was an American Christian Zionist. I believed fervently that the whole of Palestine area was for the Jewish people. They were still chosen. They had every right to go back. And it was their land from the Nile to the Euphrates. Jerusalem was not to be divided. But then I went there, and I met Palestinians, I met Israelis, I sat on both sides of the divide, and I realized that there is another side to this story. I have had a 180-degree change in my life. I believe that Damascus Road experiences still can happen. I have heard Palestinians tell me about the trauma it is to live under occupation and hold demolition orders in their hand, and then to see the houses being demolished before their very eyes. It's interesting, on the 2nd of April, just a few weeks ago, our director in Jerusalem was trying to stop the demolition of a house in Anata. And there were hundreds of Israeli border policemen, IDF had come with the bulldozers, often Caterpillar, Volvo, Daewoo, and our director was taken away. He was arrested, and one of the border policemen actually boasted and said to him, "I was born to demolish. I wake up in the morning hungry to demolish Palestinian homes." What is happening to the morality of people over there? This must stop, and we must help stop it. In East Jerusalem, since 1967, more than 20,000 Palestinian homes have been built by people unable to get a permit to build their home, but they have no choice. They must build to be able to remain there and to raise their families. These people living, wondering every day, will the bulldozer arrive? Will it be my turn to have my house demolished? Just last week, 3 more Palestinian homes were demolished in Beit Hanina, just north of East Jerusalem. For these families, there was a twist to the tale, because they were told by the court that unless they demolished the houses themselves, they would have to each pay more than $10,000. So they had to demolish their homes. How would you feel if you had to demolish your home? But why aren't they given permission? What is behind all of this? Palestinian homes are demolished to free up land on which to create illegal settlements, to build settler-only bypass roads, to construct the separation wall, for military installations, and as a form of collective punishment. House demolitions are part of a much wider strategy that confines Palestinians to crowded, impoverished, and disconnected enclaves. They're demolished to make life so unbearable for the Palestinians that they just leave. It's to ensure that Israel has permanent control over the occupied territories and to prevent a viable Palestinian state from being established. to live in fear that your home will be demolished at any time, night or day, and with only few minutes warning, adds to the trauma and the grief that the Palestinian families face. This must stop, and we must help stop it. The Fourth Geneva Convention prohibits an occupied power from demolishing homes, confiscating land in occupied territories, and transferring their population into those territories. This is blatant violation of international law and universal human rights. Israel has clearly not lived up to it in displaying nothing but contempt. We must raise our voices on behalf of the Palestinian people and the Israelis who oppose their government. I ask you to go away from here, meet with your MP, your MEP, and tackle Tony Blair over this gross violation of international law and universal human rights. Help us stop the demolition of Palestinian homes now.
Thank you very much indeed, Linda. We're now going to move to a little bit of entertainment because we are celebrating Palestine today, celebrating the fact that the Palestinians are still there, they're determined to stay, and those who live abroad, those refugees, are determined to go back. And to help us do that, we have Salam, a band which has come down all the way from Yorkshire to give us a couple of sessions of music. Salam.
It's just a band formed to cheer peace and integration between cultures all over the world, and instead of going against each other. There's more to understand about the others than more to cooperate and integrate than really to be in contradict with our cultures. Salam UK, the first song we sing is Al-Ammara. The words of the song: cheer Palestinian children and say to them, tomorrow is better. All the hearts of the people are flying with the wings of the birds, because Mother Palestine, tomorrow is her dawn. So, Al-Ammara.
الخير كل قلوب الناس اليوم من فرحتنا ورود تصير فاكرك يما يا فلسطين يما يا فلسطين لاحت أنوارها للعين أنوارها للعين فاكرك يما يا فلسطين يما يا فلسطين لاحت أنوارها للعين أنوارها للعين أهلا يا أملنا الزين يا العمارة يا العمارة أهلا يا أملنا الزين يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نصبحكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نمسيكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نصبحكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نمسيكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نصبحكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نمسيكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة واحنا نغني في كل مكان اغاني الشعب وصوارة اصغر طفلة في فلسطين شالت في الكف حجارة واحنا نغني في كل مكان اغاني الشعب وصوارة اصغر طفلة في فلسطين شالت في الكف حجارة غايتنا نعمر كل بيت يا العمارة العمارة غايتنا نعمر كل بيت يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نصبحكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة جينا نمسيكم بالخير يا العمارة يا العمارة.
Thank you. Next song, one of my friends just wrote poetry about land, and he talked to his land. He's a farmer from north of Egypt, but with this song I dedicate the words of it to Palestinians who withhold to their ground, to their fields, to their homes, to the dark-colored soil that brought up life to us and to them, to whole universe. The words of the song, the best of it says, "Oh night, don't be hard on my beloved one. He's gonna come to me, but he's walking. Just be careful with him. When he comes to me, tomorrow will be better." The Palestinian is coming to their lands walking, but they will be there one day. And remember, 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. And it was in all the media around the world, Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. But now, he's a hero. He's our hero. And tomorrow there will be the Palestinian hero, exactly as Nelson Mandela took its place. And then time will come and we'll see Palestinians.
أسمر ملاك روحي طبطب على جروحي أسمر ملاك روحي طبطب على جروحي يا فرحتي تعالي ويا دموع روحي يا فرحتي تعالي ويا دموع روحي أسمر ملاك أسمر ملاك خد مني أحزاني بعد السفر جاني خد مني أحزاني وبرمشه خباني رقصت طيور روحي أسمر ملاك روحي طبطب على جروحي أسمر ملاك روحي طبطب على جروحي يا فرحتي تعالي ويا دموع روحي يا فرحتي تعالي ويا دموع روحي أسمر ملاك أسمر ملاك روحي يا ليل ما تنساشي جاي الحبيب ماشي يا ليل ما تنساشي جاي الحبيب ماشي وغيره مرضاشي يمسح دموع روحي أسمر ملاك روحي طبطب على جروحي أسمر ملاك روحي طبطب على جروحي يا فرحتي تعالي ويا دموع روحي يا فرحتي تعالي ويا دموع روحي أسمر ملاك ملاك أسمر ملاك روحي.
Thank you. Thank you. Next song, I want to dedicate it to the people on the siege in Gaza now. The words of the song say, a bird came to me. It's a little girl singing. A bird came to me and said to me, little one, hide me. I asked him, where are you coming from? He said, I come from next door, neighbor. Where are you hiding from? I escaped from the cage. I looked at his feathers. His feather was broken. I said to him, who broke your feathers? He said, the archer broke my feathers. A tear dropped in his cheek, and his wings were trying to fly, and he wanted to
روحك قبل ما يكسر الحبس كسر صوته وجناحاته قلت له انت من وين قال لي محدود السما قلت له جاي من وين قال لي من بيت الجيران قلت له خايف من مين قال لي من القفص هربان قلت له عيشتك وين قال لي غرفتها الزمان عصفور طلي من الشباك وقال لي يا نونو خبيني عندك خبيني دخلك يا نونو خبيني عندك خبيني دخلك يا نونو قلت له لا تخاف تطلع شوف الشمس اللي راح تطلع طلع الغابي وشاف امواج الحرية بتلمع قلت له لا تخاف تطلع شوف الشمس اللي راح تطلع وطلع الغابي وشاف امواج الحرية بتلمع شاف جوانح عم بترفرف من فوق ابواب العلية شاف جوانح عم بترفرف من فوق ابواب العلية شاف الغابي عم بتعلي على جوانح الحرية قلت له انت من وين قال لي محدود السما قلت له جاي من وين قال لي من بيت الجيران قلت له خايف من مين قال لي من القفص هربان قلت له عيشتك وين قال لي غرفتها الزمان عصفور طلي من الشباك وقال لي يا نونو
much indeed. Salam UK. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Now then, this is a mobile phone. Most people have one now. Use it, phone 5 people and ask them to come down. Let's make sure that for the second half, we can fill this square. Please phone your friends and encourage them to come down. Whatever they're doing, they can do on another day. But what we're going to see next is not something they will see on any other day. Because we're going to have a taste of real Palestinian culture. There was a wedding on a few minutes ago. If this was a Palestinian wedding, then an integral part of it would be our Palestinian folklore dance, the dabka. And we are really, really privileged to have with us Az-Zaytuna, who've come to us from Nottingham to give us a taste of Palestine and of dabka.
على
Thank you, Zaytuna. For a lot of us, it's a nostalgic return to our origins, but for others, maybe a first introduction to Palestinian culture. And there is a lot of Palestinian culture to get to know. This is a footballing city. The first half is almost over, but there will be a second half, so please don't go. So what's going to happen next is the following. We're going on a parade around town. You can see some friendly police horses over to your left. We'll be lining up behind them, please. If you would like to take a Palestinian flag with you, then you can make your way to the green gazebo, borrow a flag, which you will return later, or if you want to keep it, you make a contribution and you keep it. So please, can you make your way to the green gazebo if you want the flag, or line up behind the horses. We'll be going on a very short tour of this area, and we'll return for the second half, which will kick off with a really wonderful surprise. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
I'll make sure I get this. I'll put the go to the Manchester one, and I'll make sure I put the DVD one there. Really, the last one. States about what you've been doing and stuff, I think would actually be really quite good. I've had to learn. The funniest thing was I was going out to see someone. Phone them up again and say, I can't recognise your name. I like the one with my mother. When you get to internet and sort of sit well, surely you speak Yiddish. Yeah, very good by mistake. No, I well, she wouldn't know how to say. She came from a family that was so anti-Zionist. Yeah. Unbelievable. Anyway, Zionists who hate Yiddish, so it's... Yeah. Whereas I'm thinking of writing a story which is, what if it's set up a Yiddish state in Poland, where they got rid of the Poles, emptied the Poles, German land, got rid of the Poles, emptied of Germans, and you could have had, and then everyone could have done what you were saying about, they could all felt, oh yes, we're going and we're building a state of our own, but we didn't have to go where there are other people. Yeah, that's right. They've already
He was already being displaced by somebody else.
No, it's policy.
So when you come out the bus stop, you've got to walk to Bradshaw Road, which is like
No. I wanted to be in there. You have been in there in your life. You can.
Camels don't wait for a mouth. Sometimes this one does.
Oh, well, can I?
You want to go inside then? All right.
Again.
Get him in there.
Come on.
Come on, guys.
Is it wrong? I said the camel. That is. See you. It was actually quite good effect, you know, when it was leaking, but it actually looked quite good. Make it spin.
Go on, give it a squeeze.
This is all based on a book that Tarek wrote about weapons of mass destruction, about the Iraqi war. Children's book. So let's go for the water.
I found it.
Oh, there it is.
Hello.
No. Do you want to go now?
No.
Let's go for a little walk.
Not now.
What?
I will be great.
I know, I said it. Central Asia. Middle East is all.
Poster saying Grand Maher against That's how it works.
محمود شايف نجمة داوود؟
As you can see, the parade is coming back and we're going to be starting in about 5 minutes, so do get yourselves into... Okay, we're about to start the next session.
I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart. I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing
singing freedom on the branches of freedom, singing freedom.
Freedom, and it's a well-known South African anti-apartheid song. And please join in if you'd like to.
The Manchester Community Choir, thank you very much indeed. Free Palestinians want freedom to achieve their rights, to have self-determination, to be able to decide their future, and not to be controlled by another power, an occupying power, which is Israel. We all want freedom for Palestine. The program for the remainder of the afternoon is as follows. We're now going to move on to the second set of speeches. Then the wonderful Salam Band will come back.
Hi. I'd like to say thanks very much to the organisers of this rally for the invitation they have extended to Jews for Justice for Palestinians. It's a great privilege to be here to share with you your commitment to Palestinian rights and to Palestinian freedom. We come together at what is clearly a difficult time in Palestine for Palestinians. The situation in Gaza has already been in part described by an earlier speaker, and more will be said on that. It really is an affront to democratic, civilized human values that the world is standing by while Gaza is being systematically starved. Children, women, men are deprived of the means of mobility and the means of actually feeding themselves adequately. Clean water is called for in Gaza, not a siege of Gaza. And the Israeli government, when asked to justify the siege of Gaza, referred to the precedent of the economic boycott against South Africa in that great struggle for liberation, and said they were drawing on that in order to justify what they were doing in Gaza. We in Jews for Justice for Palestinians say, none of this is in our name, as Jews committed to human rights, democracy and freedom for all peoples without distinction, and foremost for the Palestinians in the situation they face today. The situation in the West Bank is unfortunately not idyllic either. While the Israeli government talks of peace, while there are supposed negotiations with President Abbas following Annapolis, there is an extension of the settlement process. There is a deepening of the occupation. There is a deepening of the control of Palestinian movement within the West Bank. The checkpoint system, 3 are demolished here, another 7 are erected there. There are over 600 blocks of one kind or another in the West Bank. No more than 28, I believe, actually on the border with Israel. The rest of these blocks within the West Bank are to stop Palestinians moving from one part of the West Bank to another. There is the extension of the so-called separation wall, to the west of which many, many Palestinians live with virtually no longer any rights even to remain in their own residences. And Palestinians in the rest of the West Bank are not allowed to go and visit them, nor are they allowed to go into the Jordan Rift Valley, where there are some 50,000 Palestinians and 9,000 Israeli settlers, about a third of the West Bank. This too is the special reserve of the Israeli occupation. So the situation facing the Palestinians is difficult. The peace negotiations, I have to tell you, though I'm sure you know it already, are going nowhere. In these difficult times, we have to stand with and affirm our solidarity with the Palestinians and support them in whatever ways we can, in whatever they do. For instance, their regular peaceful protests at Bilin village against the separation wall, where hundreds of Israeli protesters go every week to join with the Palestinians in the village to protest against the wall which is stealing Palestinian land. What we're witnessing is a land grab across the whole of the West Bank, and we have got to stand out and stand firm and let our voices be raised against it. At the same time, what we in Jews for Justice for Palestinians do is try to give voice to those dissident voices within Israel which speak out against the occupation. There is an exhibition over there at the back of the rally where some of these organizations have been foregrounded. ICAD, the Israeli Campaign Against House Demolitions, spoke. Linda Ramsden from ICAD spoke earlier about the work they did. There are all kinds of groups through whom we get knowledge of what is actually going on in the ground. Human rights organizations, like B'Tselem, which monitors human rights in the occupied territories, like Rabbis for Human Rights who go across to help Palestinians with the oil harvest and give them protection against settlers who try to steal the fruits of their labor, Physicians for Human Rights who go and treat Palestinians in Gaza and elsewhere on the West Bank. There are organizations of Palestinians within Israel itself, Palestinian citizens of Israel, citizens, yes, but still struggling for their rights because of the discrimination they suffer within what is called, laughably, the only democratic state in the Middle East. We support all these organizations and we call on you to do the same. We also have to take on the arguments that we encounter within the Jewish community, but also more widespreadly, as to why Israel is right and the rest of the world is wrong on this issue. The security argument for Israel. There is a right for Israeli security, but the only way, in our view, that Israel will have security is by negotiating a just peace with the Palestinians, which means ending the occupation now. That is the only basis on which one can envisage peace in the Middle East. So what can we do and what should we do? We try to take on the arguments about Israeli security. We try to take on the arguments about you're singling out Israel. Why pick on Israel when terrible things go on elsewhere in the world? That's true, they do. But where else in the world is the government carrying out those terrible things, sustained by every major Western government, which appears oblivious to its actions, unwilling to criticize it publicly, willing to forgive it all its transgressions while talking about a peace process of which there is no sign in practice. So we say it is Israel that is being singled out by the West for special favor, special support. It is not us who are singling out Israel. And when people say to us, you're anti-Semitic, or in our case, you're self-hating Jews, we say to them, we are absolutely and entirely and 100% opposed to anti-Semitism, just like any other form of racism. But do not confuse anti-Semitism with legitimate criticism of Israel. That is why we draw on Israeli organizations wherever we can for information about what is happening on the ground. Pikati, the public campaign against torture in Israel. Breaking the Silence, Combatants for Peace, all the Refusnik and soldier organizations who expose what Israeli soldiers have done under the occupation. All the human rights organizations, all the women's organizations, like Mahsam Watch, who go to the checkpoints on a daily basis and just document the harassment and the humiliation which they see there. As I said before, these checkpoints are not about security, they're about trying to break the will of the Palestinian people. And in difficult times, the Palestinian people have stood firm and stood solid. And today, with you, I want to add our voice in salutation to them. I can see I'm overstaying my welcome. But just to say one more thing, there are things we can and should do. They are small things sometimes, but terribly important, to sustain Palestinian culture, to support Palestinian universities, to twin with Palestinian communities, to do whatever we can to get ordinary people in Britain to understand the ordinary lives of ordinary people in Palestine. The more we can build that grassroots linkage, the more firm will be the basis for an ongoing struggle. Because there is no short-term solution, I'm afraid, that I can see. But in the long term, we will continue to develop these contacts. We will continue to support whatever is progressive and solidaristic that emerges within the Palestinian community. They have our wholehearted support. We will be there with them. Solidarity with the Palestinians. End the occupation now.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard, for that. A couple of announcements, if I may. First of all, it's important that we not only support Palestinians, but support organizations in the UK which support the Palestinians. So please make your way towards the end to the desk just behind you there in the middle to join the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, walk around the other stores and make sure that you actually support these organizations with money, because money does help. So I encourage you to do that. The PSC, Palestine Solidarity Campaign, has a sponsored walk on the 21st and 22nd of June at Castleton in the Peak District. They'd love to see more people come and bring sponsorship with them. I've been asked to remind you that on the 20th of September, the Labour Party has its conference here in Manchester. Stop the War has organised a protest, and they would very much like to see people there with Palestinian flags to support that particular event. Richard mentioned Gaza, and we are now going to go to Gaza. I'm really pleased to welcome Mushir Al-Farra from Sheffield, who is a human rights campaigner, and I'm sure he's got one or two surprises up his sleeve for us.
Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be among you today to represent the people whose voice aren't heard worldwide. And I'm really glad that we can say today that from 1 till 4 at Albert Square, we declare this square Zionist Free Square. This is a Zionist Free Square from 1 till 4. And no matter how much they lie, no matter how much they tell historical lies, we are not going to let them do that. With your help, we are going to make the voice of people who don't have any voice heard in the world, people in the diaspora, Palestinian people in refugee camps in Palestine, Palestinian people in towns and cities in Palestine, in refugees camps in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, everywhere all over the world. We are just sending them a simple message today. Let all the Western governments and the American administration roll out the red carpet for killers like members of the Israeli cabinet, Olmert and others. Let them welcome them, let them support them, but we will not accept that. We will continue to expose them. We will continue to expose the Israeli state as a pariah state, as a criminal state which commits crimes against humanity day in and day out in Palestine. Brothers and sisters, comrades, I would like you to join me all together. We have a link now through the phone with 2 refugee camps in Palestine, one from Jabalia and one from Khan Yunis. First of all, a message to you all from these 2 places, from the children of Jabalia, from the adults of Jabalia, for men, women, for everybody in Jabalia. They are saying to you, we thank you very much for your solidarity. We thank you very much for not abandoning us when the whole world is abandoning us. This gives us strength, this gives us power to continue with our struggle for freedom, which was never anything but struggle against Zionism and its dangerous political message and dangerous political manifesto and program. That racist and ethical program must be defeated, and this is the only way forward. Please join me all together and shout as much as you can after me. Your voice will be heard in Jabalia and Khan Yunis now. There are people waiting in 2 big meetings to listen to you. Can you please shout after me? Palestine, we with you! people will understand the message, the symbolism of the message, but can you say after me, please, in Arabic, two simple words, very simple. Palestine Hurriya. Palestine Hurriya. Palestine Hurriya. Palestine Hurriya. Palestine Hurriya. Palestine Hurriya. And one more thing, please. We are here all together against the Zionists. And please say after me. Dead this, I will say dead and you say Sahyuniya. Dead this Sahyuniya. Dead this Sahyuniya. Dead this Sahyuniya. Dead this Sahyuniya. Thank you very much. Your message was loud and clear here in Jabalia and in Khan Yunis. Freedom for Palestine, justice for Palestine. Thank you very much. And I just want to emphasize on one point. I really am very pleased to say that we are in the heart of Manchester, and as we were in the heart of so many cities in the past, we are sending a message loud and clear to everybody. We are growing, slowly but gradually. The historical lies that the Zionists have been passing will not pass. We have now the power of the justice of our cause, and it's a very, you might think it's a weak power, but on the long term, it will pay dividend. Let's continue to expose Israel as it is. Let's continue to boycott whatever is Israeli until Israel ceases to be a state which oppresses the Palestinian people, which violates human rights. We are not against Israel because of its ethnic or religious background. We are against the Zionist nature of the state of Israel. And make no mistake, we will continue to be so. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much indeed, Mushir, and we're really pleased that the message went out loud and clear to Gaza. Our last formal speaker today is someone who really needs no introduction, but we have to do some. There are a growing number of members of Parliament, both of the House of Commons and the House of Lords, who have stood up for the rights of the Palestinians, and one of them is here today. I'm really delighted that she has come up. We have with us today Baroness Jenny Tong, who's made the trip up from London to be here with us today, and I welcome her and ask her to take the floor.
Thank you very much indeed, everyone. 2 days ago, in the House of Commons, Tony Blair was giving evidence to a select committee. And he said that in order that we can speak to Hamas and make peace, the violence must stop. The violence of the helicopter gunships going over the Palestinians, killing hundreds of people, the violence of the settlers pouring their rubbish all over Palestinians down below, the violence of water and land grabs all over the West Bank, the violence committed on the people of Gaza, the violence committed on young school children who are arbitrarily arrested by the Israelis and taken off and held in detention for months on end before they're let out. Violence, Tony Blair, yes, the violence must stop. The violence against the Palestinians must stop. And we must have some evidence. And tell the Israelis, Tony Blair, because you are a friend of Israel and you say it's very important that a friend of Israel deals with these negotiations, tell Israel, Tony Blair, that it is in their long-term interest that they stop the violence against Palestinians and they start really showing that they mean business, because you, all of you here today, I suspect, know that all this talk of peace negotiations is merely a delay so Israel can get more and more and more Palestinian territory under Israeli law. There is no question about that. So, Tony Blair, make your peace with God and tell Israel what is in their interest. Stop the occupation of Palestine. For 60 years, the human rights of Israelis have been abused. We know that the United States of America is useless, and sadly Barack Obama has said a few things in the last week that looks like he might not be very much better than what's gone before. Why is it that Western politicians cannot see this terrible danger we face in the world today? The danger of world terrorism has its roots there in Palestine. I want you to look at something called the EU-Israel Association Agreement, which is a trade agreement that we have with Israel and accounts for 60% of Israel's trade. Now that agreement depends on Israel respecting, get this, respecting the human rights of Palestinians. The Foreign Office has produced a report in April of this year, its annual human rights report, which shows pages and pages of abuse of human rights by Israel against the Palestinians. Why then are we not stopping this trade agreement? Why are we not saying at the very least it should be reviewed? Go to your MPs, go to your MEPs, go to your local councillors in the town hall there. Tell them all that we will not put up with this very much longer. It is up to you to make your views known. Now, why is it that our politicians will not listen? The reason is that they are afraid of the Zionist lobby, which is backed by Christian evangelicals. Together they form a pro-Israel lobby which works for political parties in this country, it works for individual politicians, and it has huge influence in the United States of America on both the main parties there. This is the problem. Everyone is scared of that lobby. The way to counter it, and there's nothing illegal with that lobby, they're doing it in their interests and in the interests of Israel, but the way of the Palestinians and world peace, because they're afraid, that's why. And you have to make sure that your voice is as loud as the pro-Israel voice. In other words, don't ask what your government is doing for the Palestinians. Ask what you yourselves are doing for the Palestinians. Take action. Drive your politicians mad. And one day, the United States of America will not be top country anymore, and Palestine will be free.
Other one. That one. Oh, that one.
Thank you very much indeed, Jenny. I'm a fantastic supporter for the Palestinians. Do find out who your MP is. Some people don't even know that. Please go and find out who your MP is, who your MEP is, because this trade agreement, the way to counter it is to talk to your MEP, and most people don't know who that is, or the setup, so please do that. That's very, very important. We're going to move on to a musical interlude now, which will be followed at the end by another dabke session. But for now, I'm really pleased to welcome again Salam UK Band from North Yorkshire, who are going to do a number of fantastic songs for us. Salam UK!
Good afternoon again, everybody. Salam UK Band. We've got here from the right, Miley on the violin, Steve on the guitar, Ahmed on the guitar, Chris on the bass guitar, contrabass, and Salam on the duff, which is the frame percussion, and as well he plays the saz. And we've got here Graham on the percussion. The first song we're going to sing, the words of it say to the stranger, your home is here, your way is closer to ours. Don't feel lonely, it's a strange world, gather us all. We write our names, but it deletes it. But as soon as we stay together, your way is ours. Say to the stranger, your place is here, your home is closer to ours. There's a lot of fans of Mohammed Munir. He's a famous singer from Egypt, and I think I'm struggling in with him. Next song, it's based on one of the tunes of the folklore of the Nubian of South Egypt, and it says, the whole universe is turning, and we're all turning with it. And tonight and today is a sea we pass through to whatever we dream tomorrow. Life is turning. Whoever was strong yesterday might not be tomorrow. And the weak yesterday might be the strong tomorrow. So we'll see things turning and everybody shaking what's in his heart to come out. And I'm very happy with all these hearts surrounding us today, supporting the ones that nobody supports them around the world in a really very difficult humanitarian problem now. the saz, which is an instrument from Iraq-Iran area, and it's quite famous as well in the Sham, which is Palestine, Syria, and Lebanon. So Salam is gonna play us with the accompaniment of Graham and the friends, some of the saz pieces there from Iraq.
لطيفك غصب عني بنام صاحي أصحى نايم زي جراحي نامي بس انتي وارتاحي يكفى نتحنى بطلاطيفك طب خدينا في ريح طيفك حتى في ديل كيفك طب خدينا في ريح طيفك حتى في ديل كيفك انتي مالية الشوق ملوى نفسه لو يلبس طراطيفك
This is the last song we're going to introduce today, and we wish everybody had a nice time with us as we enjoyed it. The words of the song, I meant to choose it because it is tomorrow. The words is for a poet, a friend of mine, and he says, open the eyes of tomorrow and close the eyes of yesterday and leave all your sorrows because tomorrow is another day. Pass the sorrows, pass, and give the happiness your address. Tomorrow is another day. بكرة.
فتح عيون بكرة تغمض امبارح وخرج الأحزان من بالك السارح ده بكرة جاي أكيد ومالي مواله من فرحته بحاله اوعى ترد الإيد ده بكرة جاي أكيد قرب هنا جنبي وبح بأحزانك على عيني يا قلبي دمعك وأشجانك قرب هنا جنبي وبح بأحزانك على عيني يا قلبي دمعك وأشجانك الفرح ده لينا وبكرة يكفينا الفرح ده لينا وبكرة يكفينا يا ليالينا تروح لبعيد ده بكرة جاي أكيد فتح عيون بكرة وغمض امبارح وخرج الأحزان من بالك السارح ده بكرة جاي أكيد ومالي مواله الفرح له حاله اوعى ترد الإيد ده بكرة جاي أكيد وانسى الهموم ودي للفرحة عنوانك عدي الغيوم عدي حقق في أحلامك وانسى الهموم ودي للفرحة عنوانك من شوقنا مدينا للنور أيادينا من شوقنا مدينا للنور أيادينا ربك حيهدينا نخلي بكرة عيد ده بكرة جاي أكيد فتح عيون بكرة وغمض امبارح وخرب الأحزان بالك السارح ده بكرة جاي أكيد مالي مواله من فرحته بحاله اوعى ترد الإيد ده بكرة جاي أكيد.
Thank you. Salam Band, Meadow, Steve, Ahmed, Chris, Salam and Graham. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. That was absolutely wonderful. And if you want to see these guys again, I understand they're performing at a concert for Palestine, Square Chapel in Halifax, organized by Halifax Friends of Palestine. And they have, you can search for that as a website and you'll get all the detail. And that will be on when are you performing, guys? That's on the 20th of December, so there's plenty of time to get your tickets. We're going to finish with the Dabke, but before that, I would like to introduce a couple of great ladies to you, if they'd like to come and join me up here. Just to point out that this Palestinian poetry will be read both in English and Arabic in the Marquee out there by a Palestinian poet called Iyad Hayatleh. So as soon as we've finished here, if you want to get some additional Palestinian culture poetry in there. I wanted to introduce these two ladies to you because they are from London, great supporters of the Palestinian people, but they actually work for the Palestine Solidarity Campaign nationally, and it's useful for us all to get to know each other. So we have Jenny Najjar there, who is the director, PSC, and here we have Sarah Colburn, who is the chair of the PSC, who I think is going to say a few words to you.
Hi, firstly, thanks so much for coming. I think it's been a fantastic day, and I'm not going to speak because there have been some really great speeches, but just to urge you all to join PSC and get active, those of you who are not already members. And those of you who are members, please go home, tell your friends, tell your families, get them active. We know from opinion polls that the majority of population in this country support the Palestinians. But what we need to do is make sure they don't just sit on their sofas and support the Palestinians, they're actually out there doing something to support the Palestinians. So please get involved, please get active, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So it's now time to round the day off with the Dabka group as Zaytuna.
Sorry. I should have said, we've got a stall at the back there, so if you haven't already a member of PSC, go over to the stall there and you can join up there. Thanks.
Important even to disrupt the Dabka for PSC, because we do need people to join. It's very important that these groups have financial support, which they get through membership as well as donations. So without further ado, I would like to invite Zaytuna to come and give us a second dose of Palestinian culture. And the guys are part of this group is from Nottingham, Zaytuna from Nottingham. There's another group in London as well, a sister group. Look out for them because they do perform regularly, and if you search on the website for Al Zaytuna, you will find the actual website for them. So without further ado, Al Zaytuna.
سكت الكلام والبارود يغنى حننا الشام اللي عشنا باراضينا نحمي للسيف ونعاد اللي عادينا حننا الشام اللي عشنا باراضينا نحمي للسيف ونعاد اللي عادينا ونحيي الضيف ونغني بليالينا ونحيي الضيف ونغني بليالينا صرخة عتابة وبالسجال بنتغنى فلسطيني من بيت حانون حتى باطن ضربي القدس وغزة انتظرتنا فلسطيني من بيت حانون حتى باطن ضربي رام الله البيري حيفا ويافا والرملي رام الله البيري حيفا ويافا والرملي ما نرضى بديل لا وعطونا الجنة نغمات تعودنا وعبد الله متمردنا صوت الرشاش نغمات تعودنا نحيا ونموت بس يرجع وطننا نحيا ونموت بس يرجع وطننا مثل العروس محنا يبليه تحنا التيري وهذا الواقع واقعنا حب الأوطان والمكان تجمعنا التيري وهذا الواقع واقعنا حب الأوطان والمكان تجمعنا ازرع يا ابن بلدنا ازرع 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 يا ابن بلدنا ازرع ازرع يا عم الخير عبالتنا وديرتنا
Thank you very much indeed, Zaytuna, for entertaining us with some Palestinian culture. Yes, our